G, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Hi, did you say Kiki?
Maybe I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but yes.
Okay, hi, how are you? I kind of have, it's kind of both, but kind of a question and I guess you could say a story to tell. Kind of be fast about it. Basically, my story started, I'd say about 2 years ago. The case started 2 years ago because my son had behavioral issues. And not only that, I was in a dysfunctional relationship. There was a lot of components to my son's behavior, his behavior issues. And DCFS stepped in because my son he had ran away from home and they had to search for him and stuff. When the case started, I guess I somehow volunteered to have the case. So they never detained my children. And, in the very beginning of the case, the social worker had came to my house and, it just seemed really strange because she answered her cell phone and she was like, she had literally looked at me and said something like, yeah, I'm at your brother's house. And I honestly, I put it in the back of my mind. I kind of just I didn't want to put too much attention into it, but it was just strange. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to, really trip on that. And, a whole, after all kinds of things have happened, they never detained my children. I've had my son in therapy. I was doing everything that they had been telling. I actually had been doing things before then. I had initiated all his counseling. He was in the highest level of FSP. His children's counselor, everybody that came to meet me, nobody had any problems about me. Nobody ever said anything bad about me. So after the case should have been closed a long time ago. And basically out a year to the date that it opened, my ex, we get into this argument. I had been feeling like he had somebody else for a long time. And I was like, you know what, why don't you could you please just leave? I thought we were going to be on good terms. He decides to hit me in the face. After that, a month after he hits me in the face, the social worker calls me and tells me that she's going to remove my children. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? She goes, okay, and they're going to go with, they're going to go with your ex's family. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I was like, what do you mean? So she discussed everything with him and his whole family as far as where my children were going to go. And I was like, I don't approve of that. I don't want that to happen. And once again, it kind of made me feel like, okay, maybe the social worker knew his sister the whole time. This whole case, they told me initially to stay away from him for 3 months. I did stay away from him for 3 months. I went back to court and they produced text messages and pictures without times and dates. And they submitted it those were submitted as evidence. And according to what, the courtroom said, I guess you could say, is that I still was in a relationship with my children's father, and that there was a safety concern. My children could not come back home. I have a baby who is he's a year and a half, and at the time, and they removed him from me. I didn't get to see him for 2 whole months because of this COVID thing. I literally didn't get to see him. Then my son, and the older one he's 11 now, the one that has behavior issues, him and we had been working on his treatment plan for about 2.5 years when she decided to move him. Not only did she remove him from my home, she removed him and stuck him in a county that we don't even live in. We don't even reside in. So now I'm not even a part of his treatment plan anymore. And it's now been going on almost 8 months. And, there's so much more to this case. I mean, just so many more things. But I got, my children's father, as far as when I go to court in January 6th, and on her recommendation that she gave, she literally, the whole thing, it's like a typo error. Like everything about it, it almost looks like meant to be confusing if the way that it is typed up. She refers to my children as the daughter and the mother, and she uses the mother as my ex's name. She refers to my other son that's 11 that's not his father, but she puts them together as if she basically, in the recommendation, is to return my children, to release my children to the father, to my youngest son's father, both of them, and I'm supposed to have continued reunification.
Well, KG, hold on a second. KG, have you talked to your attorney about this case?
Yeah, I've had two attorneys. They're not doing anything about anything. I even submitted police reports in the court case. They didn't take them as evidence. They said they weren't submissible as evidence.
Well, the reason why police reports aren't admissible is you need to satisfy the hearsay exception or the business record exception. Otherwise, just showing a police report is inadmissible. But you haven't really answered my question. Have you sat down and strategized and come up with a plan with your attorney?
I have on occasions, but I mean, they're not telling me anything at all. The lawyer told me, he said, okay, I'm going to have. I have my visits. They don't even do my visits. I see them once a week.
KG, let's get back to the attorney.
I know. The attorney is not doing anything for me. He's not.
This is what you have to do.
I've asked them over and over again. They told me they're going to have some investigator come out and speak with me. This was like 3 weeks ago. I've continued to email him. I've corresponded with him. I've sent him so many all my letters of everything that I've completed, and he's really not doing. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to have the investigator contact you. Just have to wait. They're going to contact you, and he's not doing anything about nothing.
Okay, this is what you need to do. You need to talk to him, or email him, and request to have a meeting with him and or his supervisor.
Okay.
Because if you don't get this fixed, you're going to go to court and you're probably going to lose. Mm-hmm. So it's extremely important that you get this fixed, that you have the meeting, that you come up with a strategy and you implement it.
Okay.
You know, so many.
If my lawyer denies this, then what do I do from there? Because I've been trying.
I'm going to tell you, because you ask a great question. If your lawyer denies you having this meeting, what you might want to do is have what's called a Marsden hearing. And you may want to ask your lawyer to have that Marsden hearing way before the court date. Because I'm telling you right now, if you don't come up with a strategy and you don't implement it, you're probably going to lose. And that means you won't be getting your children back. That's how important this is. Okay?
Did you see Marsden? Can you spell that out for me?
Marsden, I believe. Marsden hearing.
Okay.
You can Google it. You can Google it, and it'll tell you. Yeah. What are you in? You're in California, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can ask your attorney about a Marsden hearing, and hopefully he will explain that to you. And maybe he does want to get off the case, or maybe he wants to help you, and this will give him an incentive to sit down with you on the phone or a Zoom meeting or something, so that you guys can develop a strategy and implement the strategy.
Okay, so I need to speak with my lawyer, and I need to call him and ask him for what's the meeting called? The initial meeting again? It's not the Marsden. It's just to have a development plan meeting or something.
Strategy.
Sorry, strategy. Okay.
And by the way, I didn't say call him. I said email him.
Oh yeah, email him. Yeah, I do. I've been emailing him, texting him, emailing him.
Well, you might want to call the office and find out who his supervisor is and speak to his supervisor.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, if you don't have this strategy meeting and implement it, you probably have no chance of winning this case in January.
I know, and the thing that bothers me is, this is the second lawyer that I've had. The first lawyer that I had, him and I thought we spoke actually we spoke. We had several, we had good communication between us. But when we would get to court and it would come down to what like him and I had discussed, he never fought for me. And I was like, what's going on? Why is it that I'm not getting any, you're not fighting? I felt like he wasn't fighting for me. So I had just one last question. In the event that this strategy meeting doesn't, let's say we have the strategy meeting and we get to court and the lawyer doesn't hold up to what he says he's going to do. At that point, what can I do?
You would want to stand up and tell the judge you want a Marsden hearing.
Okay.
Okay. And one of the things you might want to consider, if this is a court-appointed attorney and you're not getting any satisfaction, you might want to consider finding some private attorneys in your area to see if you can get some better help. Hey, Kiji, I want to thank you for calling. Thank you for listening. Call us in a few weeks after the hearing. Give us an update on what happened. We got to take a break right now. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win.